Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Akwa Ibom State. Good morning, our very esteemed neighbors here at Ibiakuran. It's a really good Monday to rise and shine. It's a good time for us to believe for good. My name is Uyai, and I can come to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Good morning.
And my name is Janice Cobo. Many thanks for joining us today. It's a new week, and I'm sure you're super pumped to achieve all the things you have set out to achieve this week. My name is Janice Cobo. Many thanks for joining us. And yeah, it's a good way to start the week on a rise and shine this morning. We are always rising and we are always shining, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Good morning.
yeah.
How's the weekend?
Oh, weekend was frustrated.
Are you serious?
I have to let this out because you know when you have plans to do something and then the rain just comes and it never wants to go, and at the point where you're thinking okay it has subsided and you try to step your foot out, the next thing it just comes down again in torrents and you're running back home. It was really frustrating, I must say, but they will say that the rain is doing its job, especially when we passed August. That means the August break is done and we are in for some real-time rain
Seriously.
coming.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I can absolutely relate. The rain really tried, to mess up with our activities, but we are here on Monday, rising and
Yeah,
shining.
definitely,
Yes.
definitely.
Well,
Okay, so let's kickstart our conversation on Rise and Shine like we normally do. We always start off with things that have gotten people talking and things that are actually trending. And for the longest of time, I think that the Queen Elizabeth II, who died on Thursday last week, will continually be a conversation that will be in the lips of many, not just Nigerians now, but many across the globe. And that's because of how prominent she was in when you talk about peacekeeping, when you talk about global relevance. She will continue to be talked about. And the fact that she's not yet been buried, she's going to be buried on the 19th of September. So there are other activities like unfolding activities that has to herald, her burial and all of that. And we've seen a lot happen. We saw 96 gun salute
yeah.
being shot on her behalf, or more like
In her honor.
yes, in her honor, and it was beautiful to watch. And we were also told that it has to be 96 to represent the
Number of years
number
she
of
lived.
age that she lived. And I was like, oh my god, this is really beautiful. But this is more like the activities that will come in before she's actually in between, and which
Yeah.
is more like what is constitutionally bound on the British, on the royals, as it were. So we see that happen, and a lot of things have also unfolded.
Yeah.
We talked about last week the fact that there's been some kinds of issues in her family, some kinds of rifts between her children and the likes of Williams, the likes of Harry
Harry.
and Meghan,
Yeah.
and all of that. But again, since after the Queen died, we saw them come together again for the first time in so long a period. And I remember saying also that, King Charles III has a great task ahead of him, to be able to bring
Unite the
back
family.
the
Yeah. Of course, a lot of reactions will come, and that's even like reactions that are both positive and negative
definitely,
reactions. But
yeah.
at the end of the day, everybody must choose the divide they are going to, take.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the family come together after a very long time, we hope that beyond having to come bury their mother, their grandmother,
Grandmother, yeah.
yes, they can stick together a bit more intentionally after
Mm-hmm.
this, because we know that some of the stories is that the queen had some, it was, I don't know how to put it, but it was her thing for some of the rifts that Harry and Meghan, experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point where, let's say, the Queen is out of the way, we know that the King is someone who's a little bit liberal and quite controversial. So we hope that those controversies, will help unite the family. The difference from what his mom would have done, and yeah, something else, the flowers.
Yeah.
I think I read a post that said flowers will soon finish in the United Kingdom because I mean,
Yeah.
there's such I don't even know, an array
Mm-hmm.
of
Plethora of
flowers.
flowers.
Yes, yeah. Ukrainian, before I say Ukrainians, look at me. The people of the United Kingdom have been coming out, to pay condolence to the family of of Her Royal Majesty, the late Queen, and of course we've been seeing flowers and flowers upon flowers. So it was even beautiful to see that the children, came and this is some form of interaction with the condolence being paid by the people of
Yeah.
the city.
British, yeah.
Yeah, the British. Thank you. That's the word, English language. But yeah, it's really good to see. And in a couple of days, on the 19th, Queen Elizabeth will finally be laid to rest, like you rightly said, after observing a number of rites to make that very possible. And something really nice that we heard about the fact that her husband, who died last year and was buried at a different location, will have to be exhumed and now buried at the same location with her. But now there's going to be like a disparity in the level of so like one person is going to be buried like 8 feet while the other person is going to be like 6 feet. But it's like going to be like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's a vote, yeah.
yeah,
So
okay.
different compartments.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
different
okay.
compartments in the vote. So you're supposed to be, the husband will be beneath, while Queen Elizabeth will be on top. It shows respect to her,
Yeah.
and the fact that the British are saying, okay, so two of them late now, they have to rest in peace together. Now the essence of even putting Philip at some points, the how do you put it now? Uh, okay, so that word slips me.
Okay,
But
sorry.
the idea of putting Philip first in that vote wouldn't have given any respect to the wife, who is the queen. So they decided to like put him somewhere else. And then now that the king is
Okay,
gone,
because he
yes,
passed first.
yes, he passed first. So it's not possible to put him first in the vote. It is to an honor to honor the queen that they had to like put him somewhere else first. Before when the queen
Makes
now
sense.
dies, they bring
One passes, it won't take long before the other.
yeah.
So it feels like there might be a little connect because I mean last year and then this
And
year the
this
queen
year,
is gone.
yeah, and they were married for close to 70 years.
Yes, blessed with long life actually.
I'm telling you.
Blessed with long life.
More like old school sweethearts,
Absolutely.
how do they put it? Yeah, 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 high school sweethearts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
because they met when they were quite young. Yeah, they met when they
so
were quite young.
almost her entire life on the throne, she's been married to that
Yeah,
particular man.
yeah.
It's good to see. We also saw King Charles give his first official speech. So
Speech,
these
yeah.
are like all the activities that have been happening back to back from the time of the Queen's passing. So King Charles has given his first speech, ever as king in honor, of his mother who has passed, and to commensurate with his emergence on the throne.
Yeah.
I can imagine that there's going to be, after the burial of the queen, there's now going to be the ceremonies of enthroning him and all of that. But I think we'll just give voice to these and then we can take it up from there.
Of selfless service. My mother's reign was unequaled in its duration, its dedication, and its devotion. Even as we grieve, we give thanks for this and of the duties and heavy responsibilities of sovereignty, which have now passed to me. In taking up these responsibilities, I shall strive to follow the inspiring example I have been set in upholding constitutional government and to seek the peace, harmony, and prosperity of the peoples of these islands and of selfless service. My mother's reign was unequaled in its duration, its dedication, and its devotion.
A really heartfelt one when you say her reign was unequaled, because actually her reign was actually unequaled. 70 years, steadfastness, faithfulness on the throne, you know, leading half the world,
Yeah.
literally leading half the world, and being a person of such great relevance. It's good to see, you know, it's set for him. And at this point, it's more like long live the king, and may your, you know, may your reign be good. We also see a secret in all of these that the United Kingdom had the people, the British had actually started planning for her passing, you know, a long time ago.
Because they saw it coming, but it was something
It's
that,
more like one day she was going to pass.
yes, they knew that one day was going to happen, but you know, that emotion of why would our queen go, you know, was still there somewhere. But then they had to plan for it because obviously she was getting, you know, older, she was getting frailer, and her health was also deteriorating as well.
Yeah. So part of the code name for that secret preparation for her, you know, her death burial ceremony is what is called London Bridge.
Yeah, London
so
Bridge.
that has been, you know, like under the works for a couple of times. So they are ready for this, you know, 10-day morning event and the one that will culminate in the burial.
Yeah.
Nothing has been left to chance. You know, they are well prepared to honor her very, very well. Her funeral will be held at the Westminster Abbey in London. And the burial will be at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle, west of London. I mean, it's a lot of good.
Yeah,
And we can imagine expecting.
And then I think during the weekend we saw also her body move from Balmoral to
Yes.
moving forward to, you know, Westminster. And let's just take a look at that video and see how the Queen actually moved. People were there, you know, throwing flowers as the vehicle that conveyed her oak castle. The castle is not just, you know, just a normal castle. They say it's an oak, maybe made from an oak tree or something. There goes the Queen there, the remains of the Queen from Balmoral to Westminster.
Quite an emotional
Yeah,
experience.
definitely. And we also saw people, you know, being very emotional, shedding tears and all of that. But it's quite deep.
No matter how old, it's never enough.
Yeah,
No
definitely.
matter how old, and especially when someone has served, you know, in this kind of capacity, gave themselves and gave their all. I mean, this throne has been all her life, 70 years. Everything, the way you eat, the way you drink, the way you walk and talk, everything is determined by the crown. Feel like
Yeah, it
that
does have.
the person being carried in this motorcade is like, wow. It's beautiful, and I want to say, like, for King Charles now, oh yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, and for King Charles now, it's more like he's now assuming the throne that he's been preparing for all his life.
Of course,
Actually,
yes. Of course,
you know,
yes.
all of his life, he's been prepared for a day like
I
this.
think that was why he was more like, you know, always being there for the Queen, knowing fully well that he was the next, you know, heir apparent to the throne. And just like he has also started preparing the likes of Williams. I think he made him, so Williams takes over from him as the Prince of Wales alongside his wife, you know. So more like from the very day the Queen passes away, or before the Queen passes away, you begin to train yourself in terms of royal ethics and how you're going to be able to carry the throne along, you know, when it eventually gets to your turn. So it's not like a stress for you, as you officially took on the duties of monarch during an ascension ceremony on Saturday. Members of the Privy Council were summoned to the historic spot just down the road from Buckingham Palace, and London's Lord Mayor, and it's quite a lot for him this period, I must say. It's really
Yes.
quite a lot for him, you know, trying to like
Mourn at the same time
mourn
and-
at the same time and then carry out his duty as the new king. It's really enormous for coming. And that's also his wife there. So many conversations, so
Yeah,
many
because-
unravelings during this period. I've also heard stories about, you know, king not actually in acceptance of Lady Diana, and at some point the Queen, they parted ways because he was still seeing this as childhood sweetheart. You know, so many stories around this family actually trying to like clear all the doubts and then try to see how they can bring the family again together. and more like forge ahead from there.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot to do on the table,
Definitely a
but
lot.
what everybody, the world that they represent in the what will I call it now, in the seat of leadership the world over. So it's important for the Britons to still keep their house together and pave more paths of excellence, more.
Of Africa, of course, we see Kenya saying that they are going to observe a 3-day mourning for the Queen in honor of the Queen, and Nigeria here, the president has also said that all flags are going to be from these states.
And the reign of the Queen and all of those things. But tried it when she things that it's a number of returns, so we can even see that even the United Kingdom, the British Empire, as it were, is actually retracing their steps and so on. So taking the grievances out on the death of the Queen might not hold as much ground. If you wanted to have those discussions, nations should have come. I believe nations should have come forward in the time of her, her leaving, and Britons, and all of those things. But it's fair for everybody to express themselves.
Of course,
and then,
definitely.
And then going forward,
that's that's a pretty long time ago that some of these things happened. So more like revisit something that has passed. But then, like you said, everybody has. Anyways, we'll just take a pause here, and then we head straight to the news brief, and then when we come back, of course.